the sun is just starting to climb up over the treetops. And it's gonna be a beautiful day, that's plain to see.
Welcome to Bill Dance Outdoors, America's most popular and longest running TV fishing show.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.
Ooh. Clear water boy, I'd just like to dive on you. Coming back here to get you. Coming back here to get you. Easy does it. You know, there's absolutely no telling how many bass are caught every year on crankbaits, and with good reason. They're the type of bait that you can quickly cover lots of water in different depths with, and their profile, shape, and action closely resembles forage that bass feed on. Crankbaits have some important characteristics that I'd like to discuss with you today as we fish along. So with that said, let's go cranking. You know, many anglers believe that all you have to do is tie one on, cast it out, and reel it back. Well, you know, that's true to a degree, but there's a whole lot more to it than just that. He just bopped right there at the boat. I'm gonna swing in here, buddy. Whoa. Almost got me. There we go. Looks like you need to fatten up. Like I said a minute ago, there's more to fishing a crankbait than just chunking and winding. Consider these questions. Are there conditions when one bait is better than another? How do you choose the best color for a particular situation? When do you select the large size versus small size? How about floating models versus suspending models? How do you select the bait that'll catch the most fish? When should you use a tight wiggling model versus a wide wobbling model? What happens when you switch to a heavier or lighter weight line? What about retrieve speeds? How about presentation? Should I crank it fast or slow? Should I be using a deep diving model or a shallow runner? For some fishermen, not knowing the answers to these make crankbait fishing very uncomfortable. When you understand a particular lure's characteristics, you can make a better judgment as to when and where that lure has the best applications. The more you know about the lure, how it works, and how to fish it, naturally the better it's going to perform for you. Understanding the different characteristics can help you choose the correct size, color, and model to use for various conditions you face while fishing. Oh, buddy. Woo! That's not a bad one. Butterbow, see ya. This thing will run about 6 to 8, well, 4 to 8 feet. And a lot of these fish, they're chasing this bait out off the edge of some of these patches of spatter dock. A lot of the fish are suspended. These edges, some of this stuff is right on the edges of drop-offs.
Bill Dance Outdoors is sponsored in part by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Rebel, catch fish anywhere. and by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Today's conditions log is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Okay, let's discuss what I mean by characteristics. They are looks, depth, speed, action, buoyancy, size, color, shape, sound, and profile. Now when it comes to looks, wait a minute, got a fish on. Coming up. Ooh. Under the boat. I always like to go under the boat. It is dark under there. Where are you going? Want to get back in that cover, don't you? Ooh. Hook here and hook there. Alrighty. A minute ago we were talking about looks, and I mean from the fisherman's perspective. The bait, well, it's got to look good in order for me to buy it and use it. Now, if that sounds silly, well, maybe so, but I believe that's an important part of the confidence game. Now, the second characteristic is depth. Depth is where the fish are. It's perhaps the most important. You must select a lure that works at the fish's depth level or just above it to be successful at crankbait fishing. Speed. Speed affects depth. To gain the maximum depth, visually check its action in the water. When you see the lure producing a good action, that's the speed you want to crank it. Now once you get it down, you can vary the speed. Now that's very, very important. Fast to slow to fast, or fast to stop to slow to fast. And what you're doing, you're changing one action into the other, and that's what triggers strikes. But always watch it in the water to see how to best retrieve it. Just throwing it out there and just reeling it, it's just going along like this, da 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 da. That they'll see it go by. But when you go stop it and start it up, then stop it and start it up, boy, that they can't stand that, and that's what oftentimes really turns them on into striking it. I've seen a fish just in the water. There's one. I've seen them in the water just. Come on around, Buster. You through? Come up here. Now I threw that thing one time just talking about reeling it straight while I was demonstrating. And then the next time I just threw it and I was talking about how to stop it, and I threw it in the same spot. And when I was stopping it right then, that's when this fish hit it. Toodaloo. Action is another important element. Action relates to two different areas. First, action means the motion the bait has, the wiggle or the wobble. And second, action is what the fisherman does. He or she works the lure on the retrieve. Keep in mind that a straight, steady retrieve only catches a small percentage of fish. What you do to to provide an erratic action to the lure can make a big difference in the number of bass you'll catch. This, along with the different level of sound it creates, drives bass crazy.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Quantum Rods and Reels. Quantum, performance tuned. Mystic Lubricants, lubrication domination. And Tracker Boats, fish the finest. Today's equipment log is brought to you by Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. Whether you're fishing for panfish, bass, catfish, or light saltwater, we have an action for you. Available at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Today's show is sponsored in part by Berkeley, catch more fish. Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. And by Garmin. Bite your fish, not your fish finder.
Whoa, Buster. Whoa. I just think they see the darkness of that boat and they want to get up under it. Come here, baby. Another characteristic is buoyancy. Buoyancy determines whether the bait floats. Positive buoyancy sinks, negative buoyancy, or suspends, neutral buoyancy. Crankbaits can be fished near the surface, on the bottom, or in between. But it's important that the angler be attuned to buoyancy to know which bait is used for certain conditions. Okay, now another characteristic that fishermen give perhaps the most consideration to when selecting crankbaits is color. There's no color made that won't catch fish at times, but some colors seem to produce better than others, and that has a lot to do with the water clarity and the type of forage that fish are feeding on. Example, when fishing an area where bass are feeding on crawfish, use a crawfish color pattern. If it's shad, use shad patterns. And the same applies for bluegill. Well, here's another one, size. When it comes to the best size of bait to use, the type of equipment you plan to use, the lake, the time of the year, water clarity, and terrain all have a lot to do with it. This is something you simply need to experiment with. I still believe larger lures are best for big fish. Now, this doesn't mean that big bass won't hit smaller lures, because they will. Let me show you what we're using today. We're using a little Quantum 100 series reel. It's got an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. We're using 12-pound strand fluorescent line, and we're using a Bill Dance Quantum fast action rod. This is an IM6 graphite blank. As I said, it's in about a 6 foot 10-inch blank, which is ideal. Super light, super sensitive. We designed this rod for Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. It's a fast action rod, this particular rod. It's got a sensitive tip, a tremendous amount of backbone, and delivers this bait exceptionally well. Yes, sir, fatty. All right, we're going home. Ta-ta. Yeah, you can load this rod up and throw that bait a country mile. Yeah, Quantum did a good job on these rods. Yes, look at, gonna hit it right at the boat. I mean, right at the boat.
The Bill Dance Question and Answer of the Week is brought to you by Bill Dance Exclusive Rods by Quantum. Whether you're fishing for panfish, bass, catfish, or light saltwater, we have an action for you. Available at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
Does anyone make a rod holder for a rectangular rail that comes on some pontoon boats? Yep, they do. Millennium Marine. This rod holder is universal to fit most boat railings regardless if they're round, square, or flat, and has 180 to 360 degree rod adjustments, made with anodized aluminum, and comes with a 1-year warranty.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Millennium Marine, a new class of comfort, and by Garmin Force Trolling Motors. Fish with force. Closed captioning provided by PowerPole, the original shallow water anchor.
Today's product tip is brought to you by Garmin GPS Map Series Chart Plotter Sonar Combos. With advanced sonar technology like Chirp and exclusive Panoptix all-seeing sonar, you'll spend less time finding your fish.
I do a lot of bass and crappie fishing in the flooded timbered areas, and my 9.9 Mercury on my 14-foot Cracker John boat is perfect for idling down. What this does, it allows me to maneuver around standing timber and cover, and it enables me to get exactly where I want to go very quietly. I simply love it, and it's a perfect outboard for me in those sometimes hard to get to spots.
Come be a part of Bill Dance Digital. Join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow us.
And finally, the 9th and 10th characteristic, shape and profile. Now these two are closely related. In bodies of water where shad, bluegill, and crawfish are the predominant forage, I'll normally do better with short, fat-shaped crankbaits. Now in lakes where herring, smelt, shiners, and chub are the main forage, I have much better success with long, narrow baits that have a slimmer profile. I still experiment with both, however, in every lake I fish. That's a good one. Come on, you gotta get me up, old boy. Yep, it's a good one. It's a nice one. A little strong rascal. Easy now, old gal. Hey. What a nice fish. Whew. Yes, sir. What a nice fish. Goodbye. Alrighty, let me show you what we caught him on this morning. It's one of my favorites. It's called a banded 200, and it's got many of the characteristics we've been talking about that bass prefer at this time. However, it could have changed at any time. Lucky for us, it didn't. Under the boat. Where are you going, bud? Every one of them want to go under the boat. Every one of them. Come on back out of there. Come out of there, Buster. All right. Okay, boy. All right, gotcha. That's a pretty little old fish. About 3.5 pounds. Okay, buddy boy, we'll turn you loose. Woo! Woo, boy, we've had a great day, but we got to get out of here. In closing, let me say, there's no magic crankbaits that'll catch bass every day, everywhere. But if you consider the characteristics we've mentioned as part of your angling game plan, it's a sure bet you'll be well on your way to some great fishing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Bill Dance Outdoors. Join us here again next week.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.